The Gilded Age brought about new ways of doing business. Big corporations are owned by many people, each of whom become a part owner by purchasing shares of stocks. Advantages of this include more money to build modern, efficient factories, allows for up-to-date machinery, able to afford widespread distribution of its products, increased sales through national advertising. The Gilded Age was perceived to be a time where many people were wealthy, but in reality, only a few were. Majority of people worked in factories, lived in small homes, and didn't make immense amounts of money.
Oh no!
What's the matter?
My husband is late. I'm cooking dinner for him.
Do you want to figure out if he's at the factory or on the way home? Do you want to call him? Well, now you can. With my new version of the telephone, I am Alexander Graham Bell, and if you want to contact your husband at the factory and see if he's on the way home, now you can. With my improved version of the telephone.
Hi, Andrew Carnegie. Welcome to the Oprah Show.
Thanks, Oprah. It's great to be here.
All right, let's just get started off with the interview.
All right.
So where were you born?
I was born in Dunfermline, Scotland, with my parents and my younger brother.
Okay, interesting. So when did you come to the U.S.?
Well, my father lost his job in 1847, so we came to the U.S. the next year seeking work and opportunity when I was only 13 years old.
Wow, only 13. That's a lot of responsibility on you.
Yeah, well,
So what was your first job?
well, I started to work in a factory earning $1.20 a week, but then the next year I wanted to step it up, and so I found a job as a telegraph messenger earning $2.50.
Quite the improvement back then. So what was your next step in life? What did you want to do?
Well, I started to invest in railroads. I took a job working as an assistant telegrapher to Thomas Scott. I also invested in railroad sleeping cars, bridges, and oil derricks.
Nice. All right, so how is life different in America versus Scotland for you?
When coming to America, I really learned what poverty meant. It was burnt into my heart that my father had to beg for work in Scotland, and from being in America, I know and have realized that it was easier for me to get a job and support my family because now we're not in poverty as they were back then.
Are you and your family close?
Yeah, family means everything to me.
That's very touching. How did your steel industry start and grow? I mean, you're so successful now.
Well, it all started when I went to visit England and saw how successful the Bessemer steel plant business was. That's where I got the idea to bring it back to America, and so I opened my first steel plant in 1875. It was named the Edgar Thomas Works in Pennsylvania. It was named after the railroads.
So you can say that England was your inspiration.
Yeah, that's where I first saw it, and that's where I learned everything I know about it.
That's nice. So, anything else about your steel industry?
Well, my first order was for 2,000 steel rails for the Pennsylvania railroads. And so I realized how successful it really could get, and so I started opening plants all around the country using technology and methods that made manufacturing steel easier, faster, and more productive. It was also very successful because I owned each step of the process. I owned like the raw materials, ships, railroads for support for shipping goods, and coal fields to fuel furnaces. This like start to finish strategy became the dominant force in the industry.
Well, you are quite the successful man, may I say, and I hope you have many more years to come.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you today.
Nice meeting you too.
Some of the negative effects of urbanization were that housing conditions were very bad. Many lived in tenements, which were buildings that landlords would overfill with families, which led to horrible and disgusting living conditions. Political machines were unofficial organizations in cities that worked to keep a particular party of politicians in power. They protected themselves from the police by using criminals. They also accepted bribes. The working conditions included long hours, dangerous conditions, low wages, child labor, and a gap between the rich and the poor, which led to an increased tension between workers and employers. Some of the health conditions included unsanitary workplaces, pollution from factories, and many got sick from diseases which spread quickly due to the confined workspaces. Positive effects of urbanization included new technology such as the Brooklyn Bridge, which was a key source of transportation. Also, the telephone helped messages travel faster than the telegraph. Currents and transformers helped electricity travel all around the country. Water and sewage systems helped move waste, which improved the quality of life for many. Captain of Industries funded libraries and museums, which created a more prosperous America.
We have more information about the Haymarket Riot, which occurred on May 4, 1886, where anarchists, radical people who opposed all government, joined the strikers when someone threw a bomb into a police formation, killing one officer. After this event, another riot had formed when gunfire between the police force and angry protesters had broken out and killed many people on both sides. Because of this outbreak, many were sent to jail, were under house arrest, and one man committed suicide because of the incident. The American public came to associate labor unions with violence and radical thoughts and ideas.
We also have more information on the terrible fire in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory that occurred March 1911 in New York City. There were many deaths, 150 people, mostly young immigrant women, who had leapt to their death by jumping out of the windows of the factory. Some could not escape and died inside the building because of locked doors that ensured that workers did not leave work early, and the fire escapes were not usable.
The Great Railway Strike occurred in 1877 when railroad workers went on strike due to wage cuts. The news of the wage cuts spread to other major railroad lines and cities, and 100,000 people went on strike. President Hayes had ordered troops to break the strike, and the soldiers had fired on rioters, which had caused many tragic deaths.
The final strike we are covering is known as the Pullman Strike. Pullman Company operated a town for its works. The company cut wages but kept rent the same. The strike eventually spread to other railroads like crazy. Because of the riots, the mail was not able to be delivered. President Cleveland sent in troops. The Sherman Antitrust Act was used to argue the Union was an illegal trust interfering with free trade. Impression was that the U.S. cared more for business than workers. It's obvious that the Gilded Age was not all that it seemed. It appeared to be full of wealth, but actually it was a time where things seemed better than they were. Although seen as an age of innovation and inventions, poverty struck the people, leading